All right, back again on the Fantasy Football Podcast. Week 2 in the books. Season's flying by. We're into week 3 already. Teams are starting to separate a little bit. We'll do some power rankings here, some weekly power rankings, but start with a little review of waivers and trades. This morning was the first real waiver action we've had so far this season. The big move. Well, we'll start with the trade. It all revolves around the same guy, Brian Deutsch. And this picture is the first picture that comes up when you Google the name Brian Deutsch. I don't know why, but it's hilarious. But yeah, I mean, he's the trade master. He is all over making moves. Perhaps because he had a terrible draft. Who knows? But his most recent move was trading away Fred Jackson and Matt Ryan to get Michael Turner and Chad Henne. Obviously, Ryan, was an extra piece for him. Henne is now his third quarterback. It is what it is. I think Fred Jackson, statistically, is having a better season than Michael Turner. Obviously, Turner, has a little bit more upside. So that trade could go either way. I think giving away Fred Jackson, might have been a mistake, but there's no real way of telling that until you see it play out. As far as waivers are concerned, Deutsch was the big player there. He pulled an Oaks move. He dropped all 100 of his free agent acquisition dollars on two running backs, Dexter McCluster and Daniel Thomas. I think this is a giant waste. It's maybe slightly better than Brandon Jackson because he has two chances, for one of these guys to play out. Dexter McCluster, I get that he is now the starter there in Kansas City. Jamal Charles is out for the year, and Thomas Jones is just another year older, so McCluster is really the guy. But I just don't know. I mean, that offense is still terrible. I can't imagine McCluster is going to be very good. And Daniel Thomas, he did have a good game, and it looks like he's going to push Reggie Bush. But, even best case scenario, that's still going to be a timeshare there. And that's another offense that's just not so hot. I don't know if I would invest in it. So Deutsch is kind of limiting himself, but he did need to make some moves. The other Deutsch was pretty active as well. Justin dropped $42 on the aforementioned Thomas Jones. I think that is a bit of a waste as well, especially when you look at a move that I made, getting Roy Helu for $16. Is a bargain compared to those three running backs. And really, Helu, he's in a timeshare. It's sort of the same situation, but I needed him. I've got Felix Jones, and if Felix Jones doesn't play on Monday, I'm not going to know until the last minute, and so I needed a Washington or a Dallas running back, and Helu has some pretty good upside, so I feel good about that. All right, starting at the back of the pack with the weekly power rankings. In dead last, much to no one's surprise, Andrew Oaks. He has the lowest scoring team in the league by a pretty wide margin. His trading away of Rex and Hightower for Chris Johnson and for Peyton Manning, looks even stupider now because the Redskins have put together another good week, and Chris Johnson is just continuing to struggle. So Oaks, is in dire straits. Obviously, still plenty of time left for him to turn things around, but he occupies that 12th spot this week. In 11th, we have Brian Deutsch, attempting to recover from his boneheaded draft. Like I mentioned, he's been aggressively taking to the trade market. I do think, his trade with Oaks really was a good one for him. But recently giving away Fred Jackson and Matt Ryan, might that one might hurt him, but, we'll see. In at number 10, John Kraus, the cruiser. He's got 2 wins to his record, but I think Kraus's team is a bit of a sham. He's the second lowest scoring team in the league. His master plan stable of wide receivers has yet to really pan out. In fact, Wes Welker, I believe, has been the most productive one. Roddy White really has yet to really blow up. His only real consistent player has been Beanie Wells. I think Steven Jackson coming back from injury obviously will help him out a little bit. In at number 9, Ariel. I don't really have a strong feel for Ariel's team yet. Could be good, could be bad. He's sort of middling right now. I do like his pickup of Fred Baker. I'm big on him. Tony Romo's punctured lung is going to be a big deciding factor for him this weekend. He did the smart thing and he went out and he picked up John Kitna. Really, in that offense, it's not really that much of a step back to go to Kitna. So, we'll see with Ariel. He could go up, he could go down. I'm not quite sure yet. In at number 8, I put myself. I'm second in the league in points allowed, which basically translates to bad luck. My wide receiver core of Larry Fitzgerald, Steve Smith, and Dez Bryant, I think it's the strongest in the league. Steve Smith has really come out of nowhere. And finally, in week 2, my trade for Joe Flacco, giving up Flacco for Sam Bradford, finally started to look good. I thought Bradford looked pretty sharp on Monday night, even though his red zone offense was brutal. He potentially could have thrown 4 touchdowns and only threw 1. So really, I'm only 2-0 week away from being a contender. I just need to put it together. In at 7, as usual, Ben's team is putting up the points, but he is not really seeing that reflected in the win column. At 2-2, he's still in fine position to make a move. I think he might end up winning. That trade dumping Chad Henne to upgrade to Matt Ryan is pretty solid. And he also just acquired the current NFL leading rusher, Fred Jackson. So those could be good moves. Ben, obviously doesn't have to worry about scoring too many points, but he just, needs to keep it going. In at number 6, Justin. Justin has the lowest scoring team that also has a winning record. Really, he's gotten by off strong efforts from Darren McFadden and Jeremy Maclin had that outrageous game. I think Justin is sort of slipping. I can't imagine, his team is going to keep things up. He's, we'll see. In at 5, Billy leads the league in points allowed, which, as I just touched upon, is basically just bad luck. He's 1-3, but he's also outscored all of the teams that are 2-2 and almost all of the 3-1 teams. So Billy has a really good team. He's got Drew Brees. He's got Adrian Peterson. He's got Stevie Johnson. He just needs to catch a break. I think things will regress to the mean. I think Billy is, on his way up. Number 4, we have Jason Plotzker. He is in first place of the Lane Bryant division, which is starting to resemble the NFC West. Unfortunately, our division is the worst of the 3 so far. But, Plotzker's team is not bad. He's got Aaron Rodgers, LaShawn McCoy are really our true studs, and LeGarrette Blount had a miserable week 1, but he scored 2 touchdowns, looked really good this past week. He does have some issues. I think Eli Manning, even though I had him pegged as a sleeper, he just can't stop throwing interceptions. He sucks. And Mario Manningham just got a concussion. So Plotzker now is, he's a couple pieces away from taking control of our terrible division. In at number 3, Bootsy. Hot starts for Matt Stafford and Matt Forte have put Bootsy into the 3rd place. My worry for Bootsy is that his bench is a little thin. Really like Isaac Redmond, Meacham, and Kerry Collins are his primary substitutes. I don't want to rely on Kerry Collins for anything. So, really an injury to his starters could have some serious repercussions for him. But he does have a good team. In at number 2, Andrew Denenberg. Denenberg is 0.5 of a point away from an undefeated season to this point. Got very unlucky against Justin. Vic's concussion really doesn't help his team, but he still has a great core of just constant producers in Kenny Britt and Mike Wallace. His decision to hold on to David Garrard is kind of a questionable one, but you can't question what he's done to this point. And obviously, without much debate, number 1, Ted. Really, the train keeps rolling. Cam Newton was outstanding again. Brady was even better. Calvin Johnson has really just turned into a touchdown machine, and it looks like Peyton Hillis is starting to warm up. So it's going to take a lot to derail Ted's solid squad. So congrats, Ted, on 2 weeks in a row, number 1. Looking towards week 3, we'll have some interesting matchups without question. Probably the most important one is Ted against Bootsy. Number 1 and number 3 in the power rankings playing each other. Huge divisional matchup. Obviously it's still early, but Bootsy really needs this one to challenge for the title. Bootsy, Ted starts 2 Lions, but Bootsy kind of counters it by starting Stafford. Might be able to mitigate some of the damage there. I would say really look for Ted to pull this one out. Cam, Fig, Newton, the guy's just a beast. And then the other hot matchup, the one we've all been looking forward to, is Ben versus Billy. The brothers Boris finally battle. Billy should finally be able to turn his luck around, get the win here, but Ben does have a good team, so should be pretty close. Really, I'd say the edge is because Drew Brees is playing Houston. I think Brees is going to score a lot of points for Billy, so look for Billy to get the win. As far as the mailbag goes, only one question this week. Comes from the mailbag's most solid contributor, Jason Plotzker. He says, "Dear Mr. Bauer, if you were to put everyone in our league in the ring for a Royal Rumble, how do you think it would play out?" I know our division would dominate. We've got the size advantage. So despite Ariel's inherent feistiness and Bootsy's laissez-faire attitude, I think it would come down to me, you, Plotzker, Kraus, and Oaks. I think at that point we'd all be pretty winded, though, so we'd agree to quit and play drinking Mario Kart or do something a little bit more useful. That's pretty much it for the podcast this week, keeping it a little bit shorter, but thanks for listening, and good luck this weekend.